But anyway, then we came to the star of our show. At least it was the star of this show. And boy, again, what MJF, they're keeping him on his toes. And maybe this will keep him from having any kind of cognitive decline when he's older, that he's got to be this nimble and be able to think on his feet to duck and dodge and move away from all the obstacles and the various projectiles that they're putting in his path and swinging at him and flinging at him and trying to get something out of the most trying of situations. MJF versus Mystico. And Mystico was Sin Cara in the WWE, and we weren't watching it, right? That was that long ago.
Well, the original Sin Cara, because then when they fell out with him, they replaced him with a different guy as Sin Cara.
Yes, but he was the first Sin Cara.
The original,
and
yes.
Yeah, we weren't watching that shit. So I can pretty much say that this is the first full-length Mystico match that I really watched and paid attention to. But has been, is he as big as he used to be down there? He was the big star down there.
He was a big star from the moment he debuted in the gimmick. And then he went to WWE. I believe CMLO replaced him with a different Mystico because that was their gimmick. They just wanted to keep using the gimmick. He returned to Mexico after WWE fizzled out as, was it Caristico? A combination of Sin Cara, and Mystico. Didn't get nearly as over, and then he returned to CMLL, got his old gimmick back, and I believe he's in the middle of a run where he's actually like one of the best drawing cards in the business. Again.
Okay. Well, and again, this illustrates again why that these two products are oil and water. It's very hard to mix them. Because Mystico is the biggest star that this company has in Mexico, and they treated him that way. The fans went berserk when he came out.
Oh, what about that song? They're all singing with him.
And well, it sounds like an Air Supply hit from 1982. I've never heard entrance music like that, but they knew all the words. And then you've got MJF, who is, again, everybody says, oh, Cornette won't admit that MJF is the shits. Well, he's not the shits. He's never been the shits. What he's been is horribly booked and diminished and devalued. But I'm not going to say he's the shits because he's not. And he's a smart kid, and he knew that he was up against a daunting challenge here. And I think he did probably the best you could hope for to get out of it. But the point is, that's why we said last week, if this was a match for Mexico, MJF can go down there and be a heel and fall on his ass and get beat and fucking just stooge for this guy all night long. And it's great because that's for Mexico. But for the United States, where MJF's primary value to this company is in an English-speaking market with his promos and his pay-per-view matches and etc., how the fuck is he going to have a match with this guy without looking like a fucking idiot? And they pretty much pulled it off, but there was still points because Mystico is rotten. However, and I mean, rotten people have gotten over before in wrestling, and you work around their limitations. And that's what MJF was doing here. But it's still, it illustrates that if a guy this rotten can get over this good, I don't know how it happened. He's not unnaturally large or unnaturally a better performer than, or even as good a performer than a lot of the other luchadors. I don't know what kind of charisma he has because he didn't speak and I wouldn't be able to understand him anyway. But goddamn, he's rotten. The timing, the basics, the psychology,
the clapping
about the clapping. Yes. I mean, so MJF was calling it. He was keeping it simple at the start. He was working as a heel. He was putting Mystico shit over, but not letting it get too complicated so that old Mystico got lost in in the weeds of the thing. That's where I noticed, I might have said this to you off the air, wherever they got that ring from, the bottom rope was like 6 inches off the goddamn mat. MJF kept getting stuck trying to roll out. He'd try to take a powder and, get some heat with the people, and he's stuck under that goddamn bottom rope. I've never seen. Several people got stuck over the course of the night. I don't know, but nevertheless, I mean, MJF would do some heel shit. He'd hide behind the Hurts, and then he'd sucker Mystico, but Mystico would fire back, and MJF would cut him off again. And what they ended up doing, which was probably the smartest thing, was making more of the match about conflict between MVP and MJF. MJF has taken plenty of time to heal people, work the crowd, because they were hot, and he's wearing red, white, and blue, and the United States colors will get you heat almost everywhere in the world these days. But they made it about MVP screaming at him, stay on him, take him seriously, stay on him. And during the break, the Hurt Syndicate had interfered from ringside, but MVP was still frustrated that MJF wouldn't be more aggressive. And so they made that part of the story wherever they're going with MJF and the Hurt Syndicate. At least this is part of it, and this cold match is serving some kind of purpose to the American audience. Again, I say, they kept it at a fairly slow pace most of the time so it didn't get too sloppy. But, it's not fair to judge this as a match because MJF can't have a match with this guy like with a Punk or a Danielson or something. So I think they did good by getting something out of it, as I said, for the American audience in the story. And then the people in Mexico, if they like this guy, he looked like $1 million compared to probably what he normally looks like with, somebody not controlling this thing. I thought MJF was going to have to scream, block it. He was trying to get the guy to block something like 3 times. And finally, he cuffed him about the fucking head to get him to listen. Mystico's comeback was lackadaisical. It didn't make sense as far as a big explosion of emotion. His basics are horrible. His timing is blah. He took forever every time he went for something. He's too busy clapping in the middle. He went for a moonsault. MJF rolled in, and Mystico was going to land on his feet, but he came in so tight he landed with one foot on MJF's leg and fell on his ass. And at that point, they did an awkward back and forth, and that's when I wrote, this is going too long, and it's dragging. And I think at that point, apparently one of the crew members may have told MVP something, who told the referee something like, please get them out of here. But MJF took a walk up the ramp. Mystico took off after him, and MJF tombstoned him on the ramp. Now, it's the second tombstone of the night. And by the way, again, if they had a producer, we were talking about agent reports and producers of matches earlier. I questioned when they did a tombstone in the ring and it wasn't the finish, when that's a big deal in Lucha. So they give this fucking guy 45 minutes later a tombstone on the ramp. Why didn't somebody tell Okada not to do a fucking tombstone? Idiots. So MJF goes to the ring and wants a count out, and at 4, Mystico sat up like he was the Undertaker. And he was in the ring at 8, and I wrote, this won't stop. The first, if they went 20 minutes, well, they went 17 minutes bell to bell. I wrote it down. So the first 12 or 13 weren't the worst thing in the world. Then he has to start putting this fucking idiot over. They balanced gingerly on the top rope for quite some time, making sure they didn't fall off so that Mystico could arm drag MJF off the top rope, and that was phony as fuck. Mystico got the arm bar, but MVP had the referee, so MJF got Mystico with a nut shot and got a 2 count. So now Mystico's been on the ball machine at the gym. So then They stood up and MJF kicked Mystico in the balls in front of the referee so that he could get disqualified. So I can only assume, because MJF is not an idiot, that this little goofy prick didn't enjoy just the idea of getting up after a tombstone on the stage and beating the count and then doing all this other shit to him and then fucking getting kicked in the balls. He had to survive the first ball shot. Because why on earth would MJF have hit him in the nuts twice unless Mystico insisted on kicking out of one of them? So then they all three beat Mystico up. And then MJF goes for the mask, and he grabbed it and just snatched it off his fucking... I mean, I've pulled panties off easier than that, especially when I was wearing them myself. But there was no struggle. There was no goddamn... I've got the mask by both hands on top, and he's trying to hold the chin, and I'm pulling, and the people are, oh my God, don't do it. And he rips it out. He just grabbed it, pulled it off. And Mystico covered his face. And then here came, and I don't feel bad about this. I don't know who here came, because three masked guys came out, and the announcer said, well, there comes Bandito and Templario, and they're here. They didn't know who the other one was. And they came out and distracted MJF and the Hurt Syndicate, Lashley and Shelton, while Kevin Knight and Hong Kong Phooey came from the back of the ring, got on the top rope, and drop kicked both Shelton and Bobby when they turned around, missile drop kick off the top rope. This is another reason why I believe they apparently don't have producers. Because what happens if two guys turn around and get missile drop kicked off the top rope by two different people coming off the same or the different turnbuckles on the same side of the ring? Where are they going to bump? They're going to bump straight backwards into MJF's legs. Lashley almost broke MJF's legs. How could you call that verbally and not fucking see that coming a mile away? You had to have them turn and spin to the left and to the right, respectively, so that the guys giving the missile drop kicks could have jumped off and drop kicked them at a straight angle, and then they fall sideways next to each other in the middle of the ring. And the guys that got drop kicked can go towards the turnbuckles. Not fucking catty cornered crossways, because then you're putting both the guys, nevertheless. So then they almost broke MJF's legs. And then the Hurts tried to roll out, and they kicked MJF in some kind of fashion. And... awkward. And everybody just rolled out. And that was it. He did the best he could with this guy.
It was the highlight of the show.
It was the highlight of the show. Well, but that's, it stole the show, but it was petty theft. I think if the guy had apparently not insisted on being Superman, or if some way Tony Khan had not insisted on make this guy Superman, what he had done up to the point where they went down the aisle and did the tombstone, it was just starting to drag. If they'd have got out of it right there with the ball kick and the DQ and the whole 9 yards, I think it would have been wonderful. It still wasn't bad, but goddamn this guy. Mystico, what the... That's what you can't... Without a long build and a reason and some smoke and mirrors and a better worker on one side, you can't book your top guy or one of your top guys in your company against the top guy from another company and show it to both audiences when one guy is the shits. I don't know why they had to have this. Do you think it drew in Mexico? Because, MJF versus Mystico for a ratings draw in the United States of America. What the at all? Anything?
Well, we'll see what happens with the ratings here. MJF and the Hurt Syndicate typically are a highlight of the programming in terms of ratings, and in Mexico, I'm sure it was a big deal. Mystico's the biggest star, and
well, but
this had the most heat of anything by far. I mean, that's the story of the match, really, to me was.
Well, that's because it's Mystico. But I'm saying, did it add to the gate in Mexico to have Mystico advertised versus MJF?
I couldn't tell you.
I don't know. But you know what? I get stressed, Brian, when I start thinking about these things. People making bad decisions, bad choices, people potentially being injured because they don't know what they're doing. It just stresses me out. Sometimes I need to relax. I need to kick back. I need to feel the breeze of a blueberry. And I need to unwind and enjoy the moment, but I don't need to get a hangover, Brian. And you don't want to drink any of that alcohol because that'll make you one of those winos where you lay around all day in a city park somewhere drinking Ripple out of a brown paper bag. And nobody wants that, do they? You kicked the Ripple habit. You got off the Ripple nipple. You don't want to go back there, do you?
No, I didn't have a Ripple nipple habit, but I do think that most people don't aim to become winos, if that was your question.
No, there's not a crowded line of people waiting in line for that line of work there. But I'll tell you how you can avoid it 100% because you don't drink the wine with the alcohol. You drink the seltzers from our friends at Cornbread Hemp. Because, folks, the Cornbread Hemp THC seltzers, we've talked about them before. You like THC, but you want to stay. All right. Now we know you like THC, but you want to consume it in a delicious fashion. Well, now you've got a THC seltzer that tastes and feels amazing. It's perfect for spring and summer. Actually, THC perfect for any time that there's weather about.
Yeah.
It's a low calorie drink, 30 calories, 5 grams of sugar. That ain't much. Sugar, sugar, honey, honey, though, it's going to make you feel good. It's made with pure THC and all natural ingredients, no synthetics. I can honestly tell you, folks, there is no motor oil in this product, no synthetic chemicals or ingredients that grow strange alien life forms that are packaged in other food products. This is the real safe stuff. And each can has 5 milligrams of THC. It's the perfect amount. So you can, it's even got a little gauge on the side of the cans. You have 1 if you want to be in a light mood, 2 if you want to be really relaxed, and 3 if you'd like to, I don't know, notify your next of kin.
That's not on the gauge from our friends at Cornbread Hemp, no.
And they have blueberry breeze, peach iced tea, raspberry limeade, salted watermelon, and oh my God, is this permanent?
They don't have, but they don't have that last one. Do they really have salted watermelon? That's a new one.
Yes, they do. Oh. You haven't had the salted watermelon?
Well, we had that debate a long time ago because I never even had salted watermelon for real, let alone a delicious seltzer.
Well, that's right, because you're one of them northern boys that don't know how to salt your watermelon out in the backyard in the summertime. Well, folks, you might stay in your backyard all summer on this THC. I'm telling you what, if you can find your backyard, it's perfect for unwinding, kicking back, and enjoying the moment. Some of these moments will seem to last on and on forever, like you're watching AEW, but it'll be happy moments. It'll be happy moments that you want to last forever instead of this grating, ongoing flipping and flying. But folks, again, Cornbread Hemp, they're based right here in Louisville, Kentucky. They've got all incredible packaging, wonderful products, bubbly, bright, and blissful seltzers, a delicious way to enjoy a fast-acting, feel-good buzz without the hangover. And right here, I got the information. It's 100% federally legal, grown in Kentucky, low calorie, low sugar, superior flavors, 5 milligrams of pure THC, and you can have it now, and you can save money, folks, because our friends at Cornbread Hemp and the Louisville boys never set you wrong. All you got to do is go to Cornbread Hemp. That's CORNBREAD. You know how to spell bread. You're going to save a bunch of bread. Cornbreadhemp.com/JCE. And listeners are going to save 30% off their first order and free shipping on orders over $75. 30% off right there. You're getting 3 out of 10 cans for free, for heaven's sake. So, and boy, I'll tell you what, also, if you get about 20 cans of this stuff and you just line it up in one of those helmets like they drink the beer out of at the football games, you can always have a straw on the top of one and you can just go 24 hours a day doing nothing but drinking the blueberry breeze. Well, again, of course, after the end of 24 hours, you may need some type of assistance finding your way back home.
Let's not talk about that kind of schedule. Let's talk about tonight. You want to kick back?
Schedule you got tonight. It's all about tonight. Have a good night tonight.
Blueberry breeze.
Kick back without falling over backwards.
Kick it.
Kick it, baby. Peach iced tea, raspberry limeade, salted watermelon, blueberry breeze, the 4 delicious flavors of the THC seltzers from Cornbread Hemp that'll make you feel fine. Save 30% off your first order and enjoy free shipping on orders over $75. Cornbreadhemp.com/JCE. Figured you'd have some smart comment to add.
No, I think Cornbread Hemp is a wonderful product. Suzanne's become a big fan of it, and we hope they send more samples. But no, we love Cornbread Hemp here, and we think the listeners will too.
You might have to dig in your pocket. Haven't they sent you enough free stuff? You're saving money. Use the promo code. You'll save 30%.
All right. Well, you talked me into it.
Because we are, and we're not even supposed to talk about the gummies on today's program, but I've got right there. You hear that? That is a jar of the CBD gummies from Cornbread that are good. Also, 1,500 milligram jar. Well, there's 30 servings in the jar. So that's...
We're talking about the seltzer today. And one more time, what's that promo code?
Well, I know, but I'm just saying I got all these products over here. If anybody thinks I'm not taking this to heart, that's why I'm more cheerful and easy to deal with these days, because they're giving me all kinds of...
That's why they won't send any more to me, because you're hoarding all the stuff over there.
I've got jars and jars. I got more of the... I got more of the Cornbread THC gummies and seltzers than Diddy does baby oil, baby.
One more time, Jim, that promo code all lathered up for the listeners.
30% off your first order and free shipping on orders over $75 at cornbreadhemp.com/JCE.